We're back. It's a January transfer window, and it's time to look at which players should Sheffield United shelve. So your boys are going to talk about lots of things, including transfers, in podcast number 12. Ollie, how you doing, mate?
Yes, I like that. 12 is notoriously bad in terms of trying to find a rhyme. So I'm proud of the way that you did that, Nick. Good
Thank you.
effort. That's not bad. And tying it to January, obviously, we're forming those views, aren't we? Making sure everyone wants some transfer gossip. And yeah.
Ev-
I mean, we'll just
Everybody
talk about who's
loves
rubbish.
everybody loves transfer gossip. Everyone loves it, actually, more than signing players, apparently.
Genuinely, honestly, I'm sure that I've spoken to people in the past who I know like will not care at all about football from September the 1st to December the 31st. Don't care from February the 1st till I don't know, June the 30th. I don't know when it opens in the summer. But they just like in the transfer window, they're like, "Oh my god, who are we going to sign?" I'm like, "Why do you care?"
Do you know what? Me and my mate did a transfer deadline day drinking game once upon a
Ooh.
time. And it was probably because the couple of transfer windows before that were amazing. It were like Rubinho, Berbatov, do you know those sorts of
Yeah,
days?
yeah.
And we did a drinking game, and it was the driest drinking game I've ever done. We had literally printed out at work all these squares that we had to fill in and stuff, and what you had to drink for each one. I think maybe one thing happened. I think it was Harry Redknapp out of his window. I think that's the only
Yeah.
thing that happened in the whole thing.
Did you have to the head as one of your things or
Ollie, you can't say a word like that on this channel. You know this.
what we'll do, you can bleep me in the edit. It'll be fine.
I'm gonna have
But
to.
yeah,
I think people will
very
guess what
much.
you've said.
Oh, everyone will know. Everyone. I mean, I did the like donk. So people will know what I mean. They know where we're going with this. But yeah, it's funny because obviously you're always setting yourself up for a bad end with a transfer window drinking game because it's so much harder to predict than what you think. I mean, for a drinking game, what you need is an old film that everybody knows what's going to happen and a set of rules which are tailored. I watched Pokemon the movie when I was at uni. We played Pokemon the movie drinking game. One of the rules is you finish your can whenever Pikachu says Pika. I mean, now that's a drinking game.
Finish your can,
Yeah, it
not do
was.
like a shot of.
There was
We had,
other, so all the other rules were related to do a shot, do this, do that. But the Pikachu rule was primarily finish your can because he says it about every 5 minutes for an hour and a half.
do you know what as well, Ollie? I feel like you're one of those people that knows exactly what's going to happen in a film that you've seen once before, once or more. Actually, no, it's because you've probably watched that film 15 times already, haven't you?
I mean, I've seen that film so many times. I mean, come on, guys, it's a seminal classic. I mean, it's it's just for our era. I don't think there's anything better. I don't think you can beat Pokemon the movie. I've still got my vintage collection ancient Mew card, which they gave you when you went to see it in the cinema. Oh, good times, Nick. Who doesn't live this? But actually, to be honest, I do remember. I've had this conversation literally this afternoon. I went to my wife's dad's. We went there for his dinner. Really nice. But we had a conversation where someone was saying, I can watch a film 10 times and I can't remember anything that happens. I can just enjoy it every. I'm like, no. See it once and then I can never watch it again because I know exactly what's happening. It has to be good. Like, Fran can genuinely watch a film. Like, we could watch The Sixth Sense. We'd watch it all the way through to the end, and we'd be like, "Oh my god, can you believe they were all spoiler alert ghosts? Oh my god!" And then we will watch it again 6 months later. She's like, "Oh, Sixth Sense, have we seen that?" Yeah. All right, shall we put it on again? I mean, if you want, put it back on. I'll go. Can you believe that these are all ghosts? I can't believe. What do you mean? Why are you spoiling it for me all? We've seen
Do,
it. What do
do you
you mean?
know? Do you know what, mate? I am one of those people that don't remember things as well. So like quotes and stuff. We'll be talking. Me and someone else will be talking about a film, and they'll say something at me, and I'll be like a joke, like it's a quote that was a joke in the film, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no idea. And they're like, have you actually seen this film? Yeah,
Yeah, as Joe's the worst, knows bad for that. Hal. Hal knows the most obscure quotes from all the films, and he's done it to me so many times where he's gone like, "Yeah, you know where that's from," and I'm like, "Yeah, of course I do." No idea at all, because it's like a throwaway line. that like nobody quotes that line. Oh yeah, just the way it
Other
goes.
than the weirdo Hal.
Other than Hal, yeah. But I mean, he's got that world record, hasn't he, for most film quotes or whatever it was. So you can't fault the guy. I mean, I've not got a world record.
No, I know. I'd love her at world record. It would be incredible. But anyway, uh, Christmas films.
Christmas.
Did you watch a Christmas film?
Oh, loads. I
Watch
mean,
all of them?
Christmas feels so long ago. Like you said Christmas then, and I was like, yeah, ages ago. Yeah, we standard stuff. Elf, Home Alone, all the good ones. We watched Your Christmas or Mine too, which is a sequel to last week's obvious classic that everyone saw, Your Christmas or Mine. Amazon, yeah, it was all right. It's
Okay.
well, past the time. What about you, Nick? What about Louis? Is he at the age for Christmas films yet?
No, he doesn't watch anything. Like kids, sometimes you can just stick him in front of an iPad or a TV screen and they'll just be like glued to it. He's not that sort of kid at all. The
No.
only thing I don't know if you've ever seen this before, Bluey. It's a kids cartoon, and the theme tune to it is fantastic. If anyone's not seen Bluey before, just listen to the theme tune first and foremost because you'll love it straight away. Um, and do you know what? There's a guy that I used to work with that actually watched Bluey, and he does not have kids, which I'm not 100% sure about that myself because I've watched Bluey. I like it. It's fine, but I wouldn't watch it as an adult male without kids. Put it that
I mean, I've just waxed lyrical about how much I enjoy Pokemon the movie, so I'm not going to get too judgmental here, guys. I went out with my friend yesterday. We went to Wacky Warehouse, up next to Checkers, and when we went for breakfast at Checkers, and in there they'd got Bluey on the screens, and the kids absolutely loved it. They were like sat like that while we got to eat this mega breakfast. So I'm okay with Bluey for everyone because it meant I got to have a nice breakfast yesterday.
Yeah, Bluey is great
Yeah.
though. Bluey is great. And do you know what else is I wouldn't say great, but good for kids is Miss Rachel. I don't. You can't have seen Miss Rachel.
No, I have
Thank
no
God
idea
for
what that
that.
is.
If you see Miss Rachel, I would be very, very worried. But Mark Webster from Tufty Club, he put a Miss Rachel meme on Twitter, which I really, really enjoyed, to be honest. But there'll be a lot of people that'll be like, "Who is this woman?"
What is Miss Rachel? I'm
So
so
Miss Rachel.
I'm trying to, and I'm genuinely I'm sat here like, is he going to give me context at some point? What is
Oh,
Miss Rachel?
okay. So Miss Rachel is a really, really annoying American woman that
That's enough. That's
accent
fine.
accentuates every little thing for kids. So she talks like she'll be talking to a kid, talking like a infant school teacher all the time. Like, can you say mommy? And kids absolutely love
Like
her.
Dora,
And pardon?
because I always think of that like Dora the Explorer when she does it, doesn't she? And she like cuts the camera and she's like, "Can you say excelente?" And then excelente.
A little bit like that, but she's an actual real woman. It's not a
Yeah.
cartoon. So yeah, I
Wow.
will send you a link after this for you to have a look
Brill, can't wait, mate.
Can't
Just what I
wait,
want.
mate.
That's why
Anyway,
I
let's
do the channel.
for Miss Rachel links. Let's move on. Let's move on because we've got a lot to get through today. I want to say a big, big shout out to our Patreon members, Ole.
Yes, indeed. We obviously managed to get the Patreon out and launched. I think obviously it was a fantastic first game for us as well, being a massive win against Gillingham. It meant that people can be eased in to how annoyed I can get on a weekend when I've not particularly enjoyed United's performance. So that was nice. That didn't have to be all too ranty this time. But yeah, we had some absolute Sheffield United way legends join us in that chat. It's fantastic to see so many people who've contributed to the channel as well. People like Darren, people like James Cheatham, they're all in the chat now. So that's really fantastic to see. And I think, yeah, it's going to be a really nice community to create if we can get a few more. And I think we would really benefit from anybody who thinks they enjoy that from being able to sign up. Because, I'm selling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
selling,
let
guys.
me let me explain what Patreon is because even my mate Ewan, who's been on this channel a few times before, when I told him about it, he was like, "What is Patreon?" So Patreon is a little bit like YouTube members, where you pay. Well, it's £3 a month. That is It's from £3 a month to join our Patreon, and you get a welcome video message, which we've had a lot of fun doing in the last couple of days. You get a birthday video message on your birthday, obviously, not on someone else's. You get content before anyone else. Like, for instance, we've just put up we will be putting up in half an hour as we're recording this. The Sam, I forgot his name. How bad is that? What's his name, Ollie? Sam Curtis. Sam Curtis video,
Oh,
because it's looking like we are very much likely to sign Sam Curtis, the Irish under 21 international from St. Patrick's something. Oh my God, this is bad. I've edited this video today as well. You wouldn't have thought it, would you?
no,
Um,
you wouldn't.
so that one's gone out 5 or 6 hours before for Patreon members. Also, you will get ad-free videos too. You'll get podcasts with ex-players 1 week before, which we've got a
Ooh.
very, very exciting one, Ollie, that I haven't told you about yet. I can't tell anyone yet.
You
I
never
might put it.
tell me these things. You wait until we go onto this kind of chat, and then you're like, "I've got something to tell you."
It's a very, very good one. I've probably told you about it before. I'll say it's a Chris Wilder signing. That's what I'll say. So it's a new-ish one. A very, very big legend as well. It's somebody that said that they'd do it a while back, and we never got round to doing it. And hopefully, we are going to get to do it. I think I've told you before, but that's all I can say. So you'll get that podcast a week before everybody else. You'll be put into the Twitter group, as Ollie has just said. It's got me, Hal, Ollie, and everybody else that's subscribed to the Patreon. And you'll get extra content as well, because we've been doing the kind of quickfire questions with ex-managers, ex-players, and things like that. We'll be putting all of that in there, and Ollie, and what they'll get as well, if I can find it, is a cheeky little uh, Sheffield United way pin badge.
Yay!
I don't think you'd be able to see that. Oh, yeah, you do. There we
Oh, yeah,
go.
you can. Yeah, yeah,
Little
nice.
cheeky Sheffield United way pin. This is how small it is. You can see how small it is compared to my face.
Yeah,
But
I mean, you have got a
this
big
is,
face, though.
I have got a massive face. This is an iconic badge because it is. So, yeah, there we go. So that's some of what you will get. To be honest, we're not quite there. We're not quite understand exactly what we want to offer to our Patreon members, but all of that, what I've just said, you will get plus more as we go on. So if you want to subscribe to that, all you need to do is go on www.patreon.com/Sheff United Way, and the link will be in the description. Also, anyway, let's move
Yay.
on from Patreon. Obviously, Ollie wants everybody to join Patreon as well. So do I. So does Hal.
Yeah,
So
I
please,
mean,
please, please join our Patreon. And yeah, we will love you forever, and you will be legends in our eyes. Now, Ollie, 4 games have happened since our last podcast. We drew against Villa, we lost
yeah,
against Luton, and we lost
yeah,
against Man City. Oh,
yeah,
that's 3. And then we
and we
beat
beat Gillingham.
Gillingham. So, out of those 4 games, what did you expect? Villa,
Defeat,
Luton,
win,
expect, not want,
win.
expect. Did you expect to beat Luton?
Yeah,
Okay. Man City.
win. Obviously, I expected to get battered about 6-0.
And Gillingham.
Win. Yeah, I expected us to beat Gillingham. I did think we'd beat Luton. I know what you're saying, like the comparison of want against sort of expectation, but I think going into it, we'd got the new manager with Wilder coming back. We'd been playing better. We'd seen much improved performances. Obviously, we'd then gone to Villa and had such a good performance in order to get that point. Very nearly got 3 points. And to be honest, maybe expectation was driven by what felt like desperation, but I
Yeah.
felt like we had to beat Luton. So whether I expected us to, whether I wanted us to, whether I thought we could, we had to beat Luton. And yeah, well, we all saw what happened, and I'm sure I've ranted enough.
Do you think that if we'd have beaten Villa, it wouldn't have felt as bad losing to Luton?
Yeah, 100%. I think for
And
me, the
actually,
thing
let
that
me just say
felt
as
so bad.
well that if we'd have beaten Villa, do you think we'd have gone into a Luton game a little bit more chilled out? Like, obviously fans, but more players. Do you think the players were a little bit desperate to win the game?
Well, I don't think they played like it, no. Um,
Well, yeah, fair, fair.
no, I do know what you mean. I do think it probably added to the desperation. I think the way that we drew with Villa, more importantly, I think if we'd gone to Villa and lost 2-0 and conceded it first half, made a decent go at it, and then they scored a second late on to kill the game, we'd probably have gone into Luton in a much better place. I think we'd have probably, maybe, I don't know, probably, but I think we could have beat Luton. I think we should have beat Luton anyway. We were the better team that day. We created so much more than them, but stupid mistakes are stupid mistakes are stupid mistakes, and we made three of them in the same game. And that's always going to cost you, particularly at this level. I think if we'd beat Villa, it would have took the pressure off because we'd have still got 3 points from the three games, which is what we expected. But I think for me, the reason it was so frustrating is that we almost threw 5 points down the drain. We've only got 9. Like, we've got 9 all season. We can't really afford to just get 5 in his hand and go, actually, don't fancy them today, because we're not in a position to do that. Add those 5 points that we should have got from those two games, and all of a sudden we are knocking on the door of Everton. We're knocking on the door of those teams that are just outside the relegation zone. We'd be in a fantastic position, and we'd be feeling relatively confident that we've got a chance of staying up. Chuck those 5 points in the bin, and suddenly I'm all but certain that we aren't going to stay up because we just have got too big a gap to fill. And that's the fine margin. That's why Luton hurt so much, because we lost it to Villa in the last minute with a stupid error, which we then repeated 3 more times against Luton. I want, if someone comes and beats you, we played Manchester City and they were so much better than us that it's a little bit scary. I mean, they just battered us. But I came out of that game thinking, you know what? That's what I expected. Man City are better than us. They battered us. I'll take that. I'll take 2-0 to Man City and move on. Throwing it away in the way that we did against Villa and Luton is what hurt so much.
Yeah, it did. It did. I I were more annoyed about us throwing it away at Villa because we were literally minutes away, and that's
Yeah,
2 points that come the end of the season. If we put a really good run together and we end up there or thereabouts and we go down by 2 points or 1 point or something like that,
yeah,
it's those games that it's like the Spurs game all over again. And
yeah.
actually, I thought that Villa game was going to go in the same way, and
I did.
obviously so did Ollie Norwood by booting the ball out of play from a centre like that. Just that infuriated me probably more than conceding the goals. It's like, what are you doing? This is embarrassing. Who made that decision for him just to boot the ball out? Was it him? Was it Wilder? Was it the captain?
I,
I don't know who the
yeah,
captain was that day. Maybe it
I think
was
he
Ollie
was the
Norwood.
captain today.
Who was?
I think he would have been captain on the
Yeah,
day, wouldn't he,
probably.
Norwood?
I,
It
I
was
just
it was bizarre.
because the thing is that's not something that you speak about before the game because there's no way that well maybe they do, but
Tell you
there's
what,
no
guys, let's make a strategy for if we go 1-0 up, conceding the 97th minute, what are we going to do next? I know, we'll give him a line out. Like, what?
it's almost like Ollie Norwood had been watching too much rugby and expects us
Yeah,
to get the ball back.
yeah. Basically, he was just like, oh, we'll get it back from this, so don't worry, I'll just kick it into touch. They'll then get to do their little line out throw, and maybe they'll kick it back. It was bizarre.
No, but from a
And I wonder if that
penalty,
was just
you get the
annoying.
ball back, don't you? When you
Yeah.
kick it from a penalty, if you kick the ball out of play, you get it straight back to throw in. So that's what it
Yeah.
seemed like he was doing.
I don't understand. I couldn't understand it then, and I can't really understand it now, but
Because that
maybe
probably
he was just as
wasted
annoyed as I
about
was, because that's all
that
I'd have
probably
been able
wasted
to
about
do.
5 to 10 seconds because we would have been right back on our 18-yard box. We've kicked the
Yeah.
ball out. They'll have thrown it to goalkeeper out wide forward. So like they would have been within 5 or 10 seconds back attacking. So what was the point in doing? You might as well have just passed it backwards, passed it around the back a bit, passed it to the midfield. You'd have wasted 20, 30 seconds before they took taking the ball off you.
Easiest way to waste time is to have the ball.
Yeah.
Like, the
Yeah, but they
easiest way
obviously
to
weren't
waste
confident
time
enough,
is to
were
just
they?
pass the ball to your own team, and you can kill as much time as you want. If you have your two centre backs split, you have your keeper there, and you knock it about, and then if somebody gets too close, you then boot it, and you can then kick it out for a throw in. You can then
Yeah.
kick it to their end. like we might as well have just taken an extra 5-10 seconds. But yeah, it was a bit bizarre thing to see. And my friend who's a Villa fan does keep mocking me for it. Every time I speak to him, he's like, "Oh, you're gonna watch rugby this weekend?" Shut up, Craig.
Rugby. Anyway, let's move on from that. The Luton game. Let's not talk about it too much. Obviously, we conceded two shocking own goals. Really, like one of them was a bit unlucky with Jack Robinson. But I've had so many people say, well, if he weren't thinking too busy thinking about wrestling with him, then he might not have headed it backwards. But yeah, the Slimani one was. I think that was just a
The
massive,
Slimani
massive.
one's unlucky. The
Yeah, it's so
Slimani
unlucky.
one is so unbelievably unlucky. Like that, you could do that 50 times, and that's the only one that flies into that top corner. That is unbelievably unlucky. But the Robinson one is a compilation of errors from both Robinson being rubbish and Wes being rubbish, and they've both conspired to let that in. Now, Robinson's had a very good season, but I mean, in that moment, his decision making, his ability to attack the ball was rubbish. And that's what cost us the second goal, which then cost us any momentum, creates the environment for them to then go on and score the third, which also comes from really unbelievably weak defending out on that right hand side. But it's still the first one that I think is almost more unfit. Like the first and the second were
Yeah.
completely unforgivable. That one where lad basically just passes it really, really softly towards Wes, who manages to somehow nutmeg himself into the bottom corner. It's hard for me to ever let go of that, I think.
Let's
But
move
yeah,
on then.
it
Let's
was an
not
annoying
talk.
game. But we'd
Let's
played
not
so
talk.
well. If we want to
Yeah.
have some positivity, Nick, we actually played really well in that game. Second half, we were the much better team. We deserved to be ahead. We'd done more than enough to get 3 points out of that. The XG was insane in terms of, I think it was about 3 to 0.6 in United's favour. It didn't go for us on the day, but the performance was much more like what we expect to see, albeit that it was just completely ruined by individuals.
And that's happened all season. But
Yeah.
anyway, I think one of those individuals that made a mistake will probably be replaced in Wes in the coming weeks. Obviously, at the time of recording, we haven't signed a goalkeeper yet, but there's lots of irons in the fire. We'll probably talk about that in a little bit. But we beat Gillingham yesterday, which was
We did.
fun to win a game of football, Oliver.
And to win it so comfortably. Like, when the last time we won
Ooh,
really comfortably?
I'm not 100% sure about that. Yeah, we were always in front and we're always sort of 2 goals in front at least for when they were coming at us, but there were some balls into the box that we didn't deal with still.
There were. Look, the performance wasn't 10 out of 10. The performance wasn't insane. But I mean, I don't know about you, Nick, but I never actually thought we weren't going to. From the minute
No,
Asula scored the
neither did I.
first goal, there was never a moment I didn't think we were going to win.
Yeah.
And that feeling is something that I haven't had in 6-7 months. Like,
Yeah.
it's was it Preston at home when we won comfortably at the end of that season? Like, that was the last time we managed to actually feel, oh, we will win this game of football. Like, and you could have an hour sat there going, oh, we're going to win today. Tell you, hey, we're going to win. And
No.
yeah, that's a nice feeling. There is something in that. It doesn't matter who you're playing at what level. Winning is just so nice. Like, it's just a good feeling.
But you don't wanna win every time. Like, it becomes
I do.
boring.
No,
No.
disagree.
No.
I tell
No.
you what, Nick. I tell you what, right? Let's just agree, right? Let's say footballing gods. We want to make a deal with you. Let's have United win every game they play for the next 3 years, and we'll tell you if it were boring or not.
Okay. I just feel like if you're used to winning and you win, there's not really any enjoyment from it, I don't think.
You are right.
But
There is
also,
something in
if
there.
you lose when you're expected to win, that must feel
Horrible.
10 times worse and you must be really embarrassed. Like Man City always seem to lose against Palace, or they have done a couple of times. And how embarrassing must it feel to be Manchester City with the money that they've got and the players that they've got to lose to an Andros Townsend goal? Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I could
You get
probably
it?
tell you how embarrassing it feels. To be fair, Nick, it probably feels a bit similar to getting done at home by like Shrewsbury.
Yeah. Good
Yeah,
point.
it's not
Good
that
point.
far. It's not that long ago. But you're right. But I think for me, winning, even when you're expected to win, is always better than losing. And
Scoring
I
goals.
am getting a bit like so far this season, there's been a lot of losing. Last time we were in the Premier League, there was a lot of losing. I think we need to remember that. I think the problem, like you say, I think there was an entitlement to the promotion last season. I certainly felt it, where the wins felt, oh, we've won again. Oh, we needed to win, actually.
That
We'd not won that
felt
many
like Man
quarters.
City. That felt more
Yeah,
like Man City.
it did. And we need to try and avoid that because I think if you don't enjoy the championship seasons, the Premier League seasons are either going to hit you like a train.
And do you know what? Just say we get relegated and say next season we start really well and we look like we're going to get promoted. I think we'll enjoy it a lot more because
Yeah,
I felt
we
like the
will.
COVID season never really happened. We all wrote it off because we weren't there. And then we go into the championship and then we're a little bit rubbish. And then we obviously pick up and do fantastically. And last season we did really, really well. We've had this season where we've lost so many games. Next season, if we do go down and we do start well, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it a hell of a lot more than I enjoyed last season, in my opinion.
It's catharsis. I think you need a season of like catharsis. It's almost like it's getting rid of all your frustration by going and taking it out on the champion. Ask Leicester fans how they feel right now, and they'll go, "Oh, isn't it brilliant being at Championship?" Because they any frustration, any annoyance that they got last season from their relegation, they're now like, "Yeah, we are." Just it's like you stood there with your punching bag in front of you, and you just hit it as hard as you can. Your arms don't hurt. Nobody's tired. You just keep punching this punching bag as hard as you can, and you get to satisfyingly watch it swing around. They're having a great time.
Yeah, they are. They are. And I hope we're doing that next season, to be fair.
Me
Or
too.
I actually hope that we're doing well in the Premier League next season, but obviously
Uh,
we're not
Yeah,
there.
I mean, yeah, all right. Yeah, I mean,
Either way is fine.
I hope we're winning Europa Conference League after winning FA Cup and going on a crazy run. But
Yeah, probably. That's definitely going to happen. Anyway, so we beat Gillingham. We were really good. Um, Will Asula got 2 goals, which is obviously fantastic for his confidence. 2 good goals as well. It took him really well. Especially that first one was a really good finish and good to get away
Yeah,
from his man. But I like the second one more because he was alive. He was so quick to that
anticipation.
ball, quick as a
We
flash.
struggle. Yeah,
And then obviously James McAtee. We need to talk about James McAtee for a second. Obviously, the first goal had an air of luck to it with Ollie Norwood's pass just being let go by both players. I saw that watching my nephew play football this morning. I saw that happen. That exact thing happened, but they are
yeah.
children, not League Two defenders. And I said to my dad at the time, that is League Two defending. That if you've ever seen it, and he's like, no, that is children's defending. So that was bad. Obviously, he put the ball away really, really well. But that
Mm,
second goal, oh my god! Like the replay does not do it justice because of how fast that ball left his foot and
yeah.
finished in the bottom corner.
It's an absolute peach in it. And I mean, I think you said it on Twitter, like, he has learnt to shoot. Like, where's this version of him being? Because I've seen him miss sitters. I've seen his shooting not really look powerful enough. But the last few weeks, obviously, he scored the absolute worldie against Brentford. And then, yeah, he took it so well. Honestly, it's an absolute peach of a strike. When you're learning how to kick a football, that's exactly how you dream of hitting it. Like, it's an absolute beauty.
Swerving away. And I
Yeah.
can't remember who it was who put it on Twitter, but they said it's almost like he didn't even have to break stride. As he was running, it just
Perfect. Yeah.
everything was perfect. Like straight off the training ground, just and the
Yeah.
bend. Oh, beautiful. Anyway,
Yeah,
let's move
just
on.
in fact, just clip it, and put it in here. Let everyone see it again because it's so
Can't
good.
do can't do
In fact,
that.
do it, and I'll do this. Ooh, and you can have that just as it hits back at net.
Nobody wants that. Nobody
No, I
wants.
know they don't.
Well,
It was
there will be someone that will.
weirdly sexual.
Yeah. So who do you want in the next round of the FA Cup, Oliver?
Anyone but Wednesday.
Okay. Because I put
I said,
Wednesday question mark.
nope, not even a little bit. Nope, not at any
No.
point. No,
Let us know in the
not even.
comments who you
There is
won.
no part of me.
Let us know in the comments who you won in the next round of the FA Cup, whether it is Wednesday, whether it's Wrexham. Wrexham are in there, and Wrexham are looking all
No,
right this season.
nobody. We want what we want. depends what the aim of the game is. I think actually what will be really good for United is to have a cup run again. Let's go as far as we can. Let's just say, you know what? The season in the league, maybe some good feeling from the cup will generate some form in the league. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll take legs away from what we've got in the league. But I think we need to get some positive momentum, some good feeling about the club. The way to do that is to have a good cup run. So I would like a League Two team at Bramall Lane, not Wrexham. And I think that's it. And the reason for that is obviously the history, the fact that it'll be all over at BBC again, the fact that we'll have to deal with celebrity coming to Sheffield. Let's have somebody else completely out of the spotlight from League Two at Bramall Lane and another relatively straightforward passage into the next round.
Agreed, mate. Let's move on to the quiz. Right, this quiz, Ollie.
Yeah.
5 questions, of which you could get 5 out of 5 here. There's one
Ooh.
question that I'm a bit like, I'm not sure if he's going to get this, but all of them you should get. So we'll see. We'll see.
I don't like should get.
We'll come back to
Shoulds.
this in
Ooh.
sort of 5 minutes' time, but let's see. So, number 1, who did we pay the most for? Gus Harmer, Cameron Archer, or Vinny Souza?
Cameron Archer.
1 for 1. Well done, my friend. Next one, and it was quite a bit more actually. I thought that Harmer came for sort of 17, 18 million. I think he was like 12 or 13 or something.
Yeah, I think Souza was about 10, Harmer about 12, and then Archer, what, 21, 22?
I think he was about 18, 20, something like that. They
18,
did it
20.
all in kind of euros and stuff, so I went 100% when I was looking it up. But let's move on to question number 2. How many players have the Blades signed this season so far? 9, 10, 11, or 12? The last signing being Ben Brereton Diaz, for anybody that's watching this in a few weeks' time. This is great content.
The numbers are too close together for me to be able to guess the ones that I've forgotten, because I know there's some I've forgotten. So who have I got so far on my list? Trusty, LaRousse, Thomas, Souza, Harmer, McAtee, Archer, Benny, Brember and Diaz.
9.
Anis Slimani.
10.
That's 10. Were the options 9, 10, or 11?
9, 10, 11, or 12.
I've definitely forgotten at least one. 11.
Yes, you got it. I don't know who the extra one was, but it was
No
11.
idea who the one I've forgotten is. No idea.
No. There's someone. I would have written them down, but I didn't. Now, question number 3. Which Swedish club did we sign Benny Traore from?
Hacken.
Do you know it already?
Hacken.
Well, it was. Is it Hacken? Is it Hammarby? Is it Halmstad? Or is it Malmo?
Hacken.
Damn it! I put 3 H's in there to try and mess with your
I knew
head.
that one.
Very well done. You could have got it. You could have got 5 out of 5. Let's go. Who was Ben Brereton Diaz's last goal for? Was it Villarreal? Was it Chile? Or was it Blackburn Rovers?
Oh, that's cruel. That is cruel.
And all 3.
I have no idea when Chile have played, who they've played against, whether they've had any tournaments, whether they've scored any goals.
Right,
that's
okay.
a horrible question.
So
it's definitely not Villarreal.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not Villarreal. Put them to one side. It's either Chile or Blackburn. And
it is one of those 2.
Blackburn.
Oh no! No! He scored 2 for Blackburn the last game of the season against Millwall. That was in May. He scored for Chile in June.
Oh!
Agonizing.
It's cruel. It's a cruel game.
And actually, everybody's saying that he hasn't scored a goal for Villarreal. Technically, he hasn't, but technically he has, because he scored a disallowed goal for Villarreal, which should not have been disallowed, because it was a last-minute goal. He pushed it past the player, went to run round him, probably touched him with his arm hair, and the player went down, and he scored a lovely goal underneath the goalkeeper. So there's no way that shouldn't have happened. So it should have been Villarreal, but it was
But
Chile.
it's
It
not.
certainly wasn't Blackburn. Sorry, mate.
Bloody Chile.
So that's so that's 3 out of 4. Fifth question: who did we sign first? Slimani, Traore, Truste, Larouche. Who is it
Travis
not?
Slimani or Traore.
There we go. Are you sure it's not Larouche?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's either Slimani or Traore. I've committed. If it's Larouche, then I'm wrong, aren't I?
Okay.
I think it was Ben Slimani.
Well, what I'll tell you is, it is one of those two that you've just said. However, Larouche, it's not, but he was the second signing. So one of them was the first, one of them was the third, I think.
Slimani was the first.
He's done it. He's done it. 4 out of 5. That's probably the best you've ever done, to be honest.
Yeah, it is, and
And
I'm really annoyed about the one I got wrong.
I thought you were going to get how many players have we signed so far this season wrong, because you always forget one or two, don't you?
Yeah, you see, but now that I know that I'm going to forget one or two, I can then be like, oh, I know that I'm going to forget one, add it on.
Yeah. I can't remember who you said. I'm going to have to go
I still
back
don't
when
know
I'm
who I
editing and
forgot.
think, who was it that you didn't say? Hmm.
Oh, Tom Davis. I didn't say Tom Davis.
There we go. Well done, mate. Well done. One of my questions was going to be, who's the only free transfer that we signed? But pretty
Now I've
easy.
remembered his name. I think it was probably Tom Davis.
Yeah. But I'd have had to give you 4 choices then, and you would have been like, loan, 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 free transfer.
Free
Or
transfer.
loan, 20 million, free transfer. So
Loan, 20 million, free transfer.
definitely
Oh,
not
sorry, I
free
thought we were
transfer.
describing what happens next in Ryan Brewster's career.
No need. No need. Anyway,
You know
let's
what, as
move
well?
on.
There was absolutely no need. And what I should have done is obviously, it seems like it might actually quite genuinely be the next move of Ollie McBurney's career. That's a lot more on the nose, but seems a bit more appropriate.
Well, I was going to say, let's hope that none of the players watch this channel. However, it's the second channel. They're not watching
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, screw it. Right, it could be all of them. How many? Who else have we signed for 20 million? Let me slag them off. No.
this. Oh dear, no. I think the only other one is we've already sold him on to relegation rival. So
Yeah. Cool.
anyway,
Sorry,
now
what?
let's talk about some transfers. Now I've got a question for you, Ollie. Which players out of the following would you let go on loan? Because we're obviously trying to make room for new signings and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people speculating what would happen to certain players. Some of these are youngsters, so they don't count in the quota of how many
Yeah.
players you're allowed to register. But let's just go through them one by one. So first of all, John Fleck is the one that everybody's talking about because he's not getting games of football. Do you see John Fleck going out on loan this January?
No. I mean, I don't. I suppose he could. I don't personally see what the benefit to John Fleck or United would be of him going out on loan. I think if he's going to leave, we might as well just let him go permanently. I think probably in hindsight, all parties would suggest that the new contract last summer, the sort of extension. I think most people would now agree that was a mistake, and actually, it might have been best if we did part ways last summer. But for me, the only reason he'd be going out on a loan would be to then join that club in the summer, I would hope. So maybe there
That
is
happens a
value in
lot,
it. But
though.
yeah, it does. And there might be clubs in the Championship or whatever level he might be going to that are interested in that. I would let him go. I'd prefer a permanent transfer, but if it needs to be a loan, then I think that's fair. I think he's done enough for the club that as well, if he finds a move that he really wants to make, we shouldn't stand in his way and should 100% support him in that as well.
Completely agree. He is a bit of a club legend, you've got to say.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Next up, we've got Ben Osborne. A Ben coming in, a Ben going out?
No, Osborne to stay for me. I think at a time, Osborne has his detractors, Osborne has his faults and has his issues. Next season, at the top end of the Championship, I wouldn't really want him to stick around at the club. I think we've probably found a natural breaking point. I would keep him for now for this season because A, he's versatile and we get so many injuries that having somebody who can play in 2, 3, 4 positions is always worth having at the club. I think as well this season, one of the things that United have lacked more than anything else is energy. We've really struggled in so many games through the first half of the season for energy, for people running about, for putting everything in. And whatever happens, Osborne always puts absolutely everything he's got into every game of football. And sometimes that rubs off on others. So I'd keep him in and around the squad, and I would have him on the bench to try and give us some energy late in games if we need it.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Daniel Jebison.
He's out of contract in the summer, so it depends on whether or not he's signing a new contract. If he's signing a new contract, then I'd probably, well, to be honest, I don't know why I said that because I don't think it does matter. Wilder seemed to suggest that he will be in and around the squad. Wilder has talked about Jebison, obviously, to the Star, and he suggested that we've not seen the end of him in a United shirt. He's met with Jebison, he's met with his family, and they are having conversations about him returning to sort of the first team at United. I think there is a place for him in our current squad, to be honest. It depends on what the rest of the striker situation looks like. Obviously, at the minute, we've got Archer, McBurney, Brereton, Diaz, Asula, and Jebison. Either Asula or Jebison probably should go out on loan. I think if Jebison's signing a new contract, then maybe it should be him just to get him back to fitness, just to get him a bit more time in around the squad. If he's not signing a new contract, I'd rather sell and get whatever money we can for him now because I don't think a talent like him will still attract a fee rather than letting him go for free.
Yeah, yeah. Fair play. Fair play. Next one is someone that you've just mentioned, Will Asula.
Yeah, and like I say, I think those two are intertwined, and it depends what the situation is with Jebison's contract. But I don't think there's a space for both of them in the squad. I think one of them should go out on loan. I'd love to see Asula go out on loan and get a proper loan in because he's so close to being a really good player. And I think the question is obviously after his goals, his 2 goals against Gillingham, does that kick him on? And does that mean that next time he's now going to have some momentum, some confidence, and he might actually be able to score some goals? I think he creates chances. He's big, he's physical. He's the one who I think has got a bigger future. I think he's got a bigger future in the game than Jebison. So I would ideally like to see him on loan, but I don't think we've got space in the squad at the moment, depending on what happens with Jebison.
Fair, good point. My next one is a goalkeeper, and it's Jordi Amissa because, and I'm going to jump in there firstly, because if we bring in another goalkeeper, that means new goalkeeper 1, I would expect. Where's number 2?
Yep.
Adam Davis, you would probably say number 3. Jordan Amissa, number 4. However, if Jordan Amissa doesn't count in the overall numbers, maybe Adam Davis goes out on loan.
Mm.
And there will be a team out there, a championship team, League One team, that will take somebody like Adam Davis, who is a steady pair of hands at that
Mm.
level. So maybe that's what happens. What do you think?
You've won me round. I was all for sending a Misser out on loan. I was going to say, yeah, 100%. A Misser out on loan. Let's get him some game time. Let's get him developed. But actually, if we're all about freeing up space in the squad and a Misser potentially isn't one who's going to be counted in that, then he should stick around and Davis be the one who does go out. I do think there's an argument to be made that a Misser should be ahead of Davis in the pecking order anyway, in all honesty, because obviously he's a big lad. We've not seen much of him, but I do think that guiding his potential as potentially a number 3 goalkeeper would be really valuable, whereas I don't think there's much value to be got in having Adam Davis around as a third choice keeper.
You're wrong though. He's not a big goalkeeper. He's a big goalkeeper.
Yeah,
That
it's
man
huge.
is he's one of the biggest guys I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, let's move on to Femi Sarike. Did you see enough in him to warrant him staying around?
No, not for me. I think alone again suits him. If your third choice, I always think in terms of squad planning, you have 2 players for every position. Obviously, some positions you're going to need 3 players, 4 players, just to make sure you've got enough cover. But I don't think right wing back for United is one of those positions. I think with Bogle and Baldock, we're more than enough in terms of being covered there. In a pinch, you've got somebody like Osborne who has been known to go out and play at right wing back. We'd not want to use that. But I think he's as good an option as Sirike, and it would better suit Sirike's development to actually be playing professional men's football. So I would give him a loan.
Fair enough, fair enough. And everybody out there, let us know if you call him Sariki or Seriki or whatever Ollie's just said.
I think I said Sariki, yeah. I was
Let us
thinking like
know.
Sariki Dembele, I think. I think that's where I'm.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Next up, we've got Izzy Koulibaly. Is he ever going to see a football pitch in a red and white shirt ever again?
No, I think he's going out on loan. It sounds like he's going to AIK, is it, in Sweden? I do think that'd be a good move for him. I think he needs to go somewhere to reignite his career because obviously, since joining United, he's never really had that opportunity to play for us. He had obviously work permit issues originally, which saw him go to, I think it was Beershot for 12 months. I'm not going to lie, I thought he was the second coming. I heard everything about him from Beershot that he was going to be insane. AC Milan were making £10 million bids. We were doing everything we could. We got a right gem on our hands. But that's not the player we've ever seen at Bramall Lane, unfortunately. And so I think for his career, but also for United, it's probably best now that we look to move him on. I don't think that's a move that's really going to work long term. So yeah, I'd be happy to see him go out and maybe get some game time, get some energy, and get some momentum and confidence back.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's a move that makes him come back into the Sheffield United team because it's a completely different league. And I think that if you're going to send out a player like that, you'd send him out to a championship club so that you can kind of get that physicality. I don't know. But
Similar to Benny, innit? Like where
yeah,
Benny's gone out, and I don't see Benny ever coming back now. I think that's
no,
a permanent transfer just waiting to happen. That Benny's going to leave the club. I think it probably will be the same for Izzy as well. Is his contract up in the summer?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't see either of them playing for Sheffield United again. The
No.
final two, we've got two young strikers in Antoine Hackford and Ryan One. So Hackford, first of
Ooh.
all, like I thought that
Yeah,
Hackford was a forgotten man. To be honest, nobody spoke about him. He obviously had a pretty bad injury. I can't remember exactly
horrible
what the
injury,
injury
didn't he?
was, but he came back and banged loads of goals, and he seemed like the forgotten man. But he's back.
Yeah, he is. I think again, he's another one who he needs to experience professional football. Like these players are great, and it's fantastic to see how well he's been doing in the youth ranks, how many goals he's been scoring. Obviously, we've had glimpses of him coming off the bench for the first team. I think he's done that twice now, but ultimately what we need from him and what he needs from us is the opportunity to play professional men's football. He doesn't want to be playing against other people who are 17, 18, 19, who aren't fully developed yet. He needs to grow his strength by playing professionally. And so I think a loan for him would be great. I think League Two, if he could find a club down there, I think that'd be really, really positive. And I think that'd be a good level for him as well to really test himself. I think it'd help him grow into the footballer that I think we all hope he can be.
Yeah, too right. Because it's since that Crystal Palace away game where Wilder brought him on. Wilder wasn't exactly synonymous with bringing youngsters on. He likes his old heads. He likes his experienced players. But he brought him on, and we all got a little bit excited that we thought that this was going to be
Yeah.
a really, really exciting player coming through. But obviously, it hasn't worked out for him as well as what he would have liked to have. Ryan O'Neill next. Obviously, we've not seen too much of him, as in like with our real eyes. But we've seen him on the score sheet quite a lot. Obviously, scored a hat trick the other day as well. He looks like a beast. He came on against
Yeah.
Arsenal, and I was like, "Wow, this guy is a beast." He looks it. He's similar in stature to a Missa a little bit, where he's like just bigger than anybody else that we've got. It seems so.
Yeah.
One that I'm really really excited for. What about you?
Yeah, I'm really excited about his future. I think that's the thing that makes him stand out for me. I remember when Jebison first came through for United, obviously he had a fantastic debut, scored his goal. But the thing that I always noted about the first sort of 12 months of Jebison at United was his need for more physical strength, his need for physical development. Whereas One looks the part. Like he looks like he is so much more developed than people at his age should be. That gives him a real leg up in terms of where he can go in the standings. I think in terms of being able to play professional football, One is much better equipped to that than Hackford, for example, at the moment because of his physical stature. But alone, I think, would do him a lot of good again. I don't think at this stage, I don't know what he's going to benefit from continuing to play under 18s, under 21s football. I think, again, he needs to get out there. He needs to actually experience playing the game at adult level. And I think alone would be the right time for him this summer
Yeah,
or
I
this January.
completely Yeah, completely agree. I think I'd love to see that. Even just coming off the bench in League One or
Yeah,
League Two or something like that, just giving him a few more minutes because he's not going to get the minutes for us, especially with us bringing Brereton Diaz in there and maybe Jebo coming back in. So he's not going to get any game time for United. I think we expected maybe he might get on the bench a few more times, but that's only going to happen if we've got loads and loads of injuries. And obviously, if we've
we've
sent him out on
also
loan, we'll probably bring
we
him back if we do have loads of injuries.
yeah, and I talked about strikers earlier, and I listed them all off, and obviously forgot Brewster. That's another one that's going to be ahead of him in the pecking order. So it's actually Brereton Diaz, McBurney, Archer, Jebison, Asula, Brewster. We don't need six. That's definitely true. I have to admit, I'd be tempted by a loan for Brewster. I don't know if he's on your list or not.
He's not on my list. He nearly went on my list, but I just thought with us bringing him on in the last
Mm,
game, and I think Brewster will get game time. I think he's one of them that is a bit of an interesting one because like you could bring him on and he showed against Man United. He came on, he hit an absolutely
oh,
fantastic shot that just bent in all different directions. He's just one of those players that's a bit of a wild card where you could bring him on and he could just do something. So I don't see him going out on loan. I think if we were going to see him go out on loan, it would have been probably maybe. I'm trying to think when was the last time he came back from injury before this one because I
mm,
felt like he needed to go out on loan before, score a load of goals, and come back to us.
yeah, that's
But
what he needs.
we just don't have a load of incredible strikers. We've got a load of strikers, but like I just don't feel like we can let him out.
Mm, no, I see exactly where you're coming from. I think for me, it's that first point. It's the we need to build his confidence and his fitness, and maybe with a bit of less pressure, less expectation, less people in the crowd going, "We paid 20 million quid for this." Let's
Yeah,
just give him the opportunity to develop and get his confidence back somewhere else because I do think it'd really suit him, and he's one that I think of all the players in our squad, I don't think anybody would benefit from a loan more than him.
I think you're
Whether or
right.
not it suits United is a different question. But as an
Yeah.
individual and as him as a footballer, he needs it more than anybody else, I think.
Yes, agreed. The only thing for him, I think it's a risk because if he goes out on loan to a championship
Don't do it.
club, I yeah, if he gets injured again, he's that's probably him done for United. If he plays a load of games and gets nowhere near scoring a goal, that's going to do nothing for his confidence. But I think the thing is, he's got to take risks at this point of his career. I know he's
Yeah.
still young, but he's had so many injuries. He could go down the Mousse route in the end. And I don't think anyone else wants to see that because Bruce just
No.
seems like such a good kid. And I think that
Great laugh,
we
isn't
all
he?
want the best for him.
Yeah, he seems like a great laugh. And to be honest, he's become, and I'm a shocker for this. I know I am. I did it earlier in this podcast, but he's become a bit like it's easy to joke about Ryan Brewster at the moment at Sheffield United
Yeah.
because the way that transfer has gone, it's a joke at the transfer rather than at the person. Because Ryan Brewster has shown at different levels that he's got something in him that will allow him to score goals. He's shown that he seems like a really nice guy and actually seems like he'd be a great person to have in and around the dressing room. It's just as a footballer, he's not what Sheffield United need, and this transfer just hasn't worked for anyone. And that's why I think it would benefit him just to have a break from this environment. And maybe he comes back firing, and that'd be fantastic. If he has a loan like he did at Swansea and he scored loads of goals and he scored some wonder goals, then you know what I mean? Maybe he comes back a completely different man. But yeah, the version we've got of Ryan Brewster at the minute, just it's not working for United or for him.
No, definitely not. And it's not his fault that he came for
No,
so
he
much
can't help
money.
it.
The reason why we signed him for so much money is because we had a terrible start to the season, and it was desperation because Liverpool smelt desperation in us, and
Yeah,
also we needed a striker in, so it just got inflated. I feel like every defeat just inflated his transfer fee,
yeah,
inflated. And actually, I don't think he picked an injury up in the first season. I think he was just a fish out of water. He'd never really played men's professional football before. It was always other than obviously Swansea, which that's the reason why we thought he was going to be a fantastic footballer, but he'd never played at that level. He only played half a season for Swansea and he'd done really well in the youth team before that. But anyway, let's move on to talking about two players, two left wing backs that we signed, thinking that I think one was trying to replace the other. We had Yasser Larouci firstly. It
we
looks
did.
like he's gone to the AFCON already. and then Luke Thomas as well. So we brought in Luke Thomas because I think we felt that Yasser Larouche wasn't good enough, and also Reece Norrington Davis. I think we expect him to come back a little bit earlier than what he has, but it's fantastic that he's back now. But
Yeah.
would you expect or want to see Larouche and Thomas go back?
Thomas, definitely yes. No, I've made no bones about that for the last few weeks. I think it's time. I don't think he's at the required level. I don't think he's at the standard. I think positionally, he's a fish out of water almost every time I've seen him. I don't think he really understands the responsibility and defensive duty that you need to be able to play that position in this current Sheffield United team or in any team which is going to be at the bottom end of a division. I think if you were at the top of the division, if you were at the top of the championship, he'd be a real asset because you'd use his pace, you'd use his ability to get forward. We've seen him drift into the back post on a couple of occasions and create chances for himself. So there's definitely a market there for Luke Thomas, but he's just the complete opposite of what Sheffield United need from a left back or a left wing back right now. So I think he's got to go back. I think that frees up a domestic loan, and we need a domestic loan spot because we can get a better player back into the squad. So for me, he's got to go back. Larouche is a different question. So obviously he's not a domestic loan, so he's not taking up what we see as being a really valuable spot within our squad. I think against Aston Villa, he showed a lot of defensive grit and responsibility. I thought he did really well in that game. I thought against two of the better right-hand sided players in the division in Cash and Bailey, he really held his own. And I think his proactive defending is different to Thomas's, where Thomas follows his man and really gambles high to make sure he's forwards and gets positionally out of his depth. What Larouche does is he actually just tries to win the ball quick, and sometimes that really hurts United. But I do think that there's something there that we could nurture and try to develop. Now, having said all that, if Max Lowe's fit, if Reece Norrington Davis is fit, if we're going to continue playing a back four and Austin Trusty and Jack Robinson are fit, I think that's four players who are ahead of him in the pecking order. Why are we spending money on somebody to be our fifth choice left back? I don't think there's much value in that. I think if he's going to miss a month anyway, go into the AFCON, there's no value in Sheffield United continuing to pay his wages when he can't play for us for a month. So having considered everything, as much as I think he's, of the two, I would rather keep Larouche, I think we should send both back.
Was Did you mention Ben Osborne in there as well?
I didn't mention Ben Osborne in there, but obviously that's another player who can play left back or left wing back. We don't need a loan signing. You sign your loan when you're in the position United are in, when you've got no money and you're not spending big. Your loan players have to be automatic first choice. They have to be James McAtee and Ben Brereton Diaz. They can't afford to be Luke Thomas and Yasser Larouche. Like, that's the head and tails of it. Is you have to be first choice straight in your team, make you better. They can't be sixth choice. Oh, we might be nice to have once and every now and again to play in cup against Gillingham. Like, you can't do that. It's just wasting money. So yeah, definitely Thomas, and I'm not definitely, but as close definitely as I can be without being definitely, send Larouche back as well.
Yeah, fair enough. I think out of the two, I think I would rather keep Larouche anyway. To be honest, I think he
Yeah,
offers us a little bit more, and I think that Luke Thomas just sees this as I've got to go out on loan, and I think that Leicester fans had already kind of made their mind up on Luke Thomas before it even come to United, to be fair. And I
oh
was
yeah,
wondering, like, why are we signing somebody from Leicester City that doesn't even get into the Leicester City side? And I did make my own kind of excuses for us signing him, thinking that he just doesn't fit the way that they play. But really, you should be in a team like that. If you're going on loan to a Premier League club from a Championship club, why are you not in the Championship club's team?
yeah. I spoke to somebody from, I think it's called the It's 11, It's Heaven, Jamie Vardy podcast or something like that, a group of Leicester fans, and they said they could not believe it when he ended up in the Premier League. Like, they got relegated and they were like, wait a minute, how has he got a move back to the Premier League? And I think that sums it up. They were just unbelievably shocked that he'd been able to find that level. We were obviously desperate at the time. We'd been taken down by a lot of injuries. And so he just came in because we needed a body to be able to play that role. And he was the man that was available. And I think, for a time, he did what we asked of him. There should be no sort of nothing personal against him. Just don't think he's good enough at the moment. I think it's his positional discipline, and we saw it from the very first time he played for United, where if his right winger runs inside, he doesn't hold his position, he follows his man. And that just leaves you so open. It just creates an entire sort of gap down the entire left hand side of your defense that other teams can play through, play into, and just decimate you from. It's why we concede so many goals, because of that space that's vacated, giving them the opportunity to put easy balls into the box. And so I just don't think he's ever suited it. I don't think he's ever got it. And to be honest, I just don't think he's a defender.
No, possibly not. And I think the thing is as well, we're saying all this. Who would you send back? Who would you not? In these deals, there's always things in there that says you can't send this
Yeah.
player back, or you've got to do
Could
this, or
be
you've
wrong.
got to do that. So it might all come down to business as well. Larouci might go back because it might be the easier one to. You don't have to pay
Mm.
up the rest of his loan, or I don't know. We don't know all the ins and outs of these deals, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no idea.
I'm with you. I would send them both back, to be honest. But Larouci would be the one that I would rather keep if it came to it.
Yeah, 100%. Completely agree.
Yeah, let's leave it there then, mate. I think we're done. Thank you very much for joining me today. We found our way after a brilliant win against Gillingham in the cup to go really, really negative. So
That's our
yeah, for
style,
that
mate. What we do. This is the
it is.
negative podcast. This is the negative Sheffield United way podcast, where every week we get more and more sad for no reason. But maybe at some point we'll be happy again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Join the Patreon. Yeah, that's. I think we should use that as the trailer for the Patreon, mate.
Should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do as well. I think that'd sell it. I think that's how you get people in. We are depressed. Do you want to be? Join the Patreon.
Oh, exactly. Or you could just say, if you like us, join our Patreon because yeah,
Yeah, I think as
we're
well.
nice people.
Obviously, I think as well. We talked a bit about the Patreon, but I think the main intent behind it is just to try and create a community, isn't it? Where we can all be together, we can all chat, we can all be part of something to talk about Sheffield United, and hopefully we can produce additional content. We can get more players involved. We can actually develop the channel beyond what it is right now. Because what we're doing right now, we love and we really enjoy. We hope that you love it and you enjoy it as well. We will always continue to do this bit of it for free. Whatever happens, we want to make sure that this is accessible to everybody. But for those who want to support us a bit more, but also who want to talk to us more, be part of the conversation, help us to really try and drive what we want to say, what we want to do, how we want to talk about United, then it gives you that opportunity to be part of that conversation with us and really help us try and set up what we want to do going forwards. So that's why we think it'd be great. It's why we want your support. But also, if you don't want to support us that way, we do get it. We will continue to offer this, but every little helps.
Yeah, we'll never put any of our free content behind a locked door. We'll never ever do that. And actually, I'm going to change my mind. The trailer should be what you just said. So yeah, let's leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gents. Thank you, Ollie, as always.
Always, mate. Always enjoy it. It's always nice to be able to get together and get depressed for a bit. But no, I just enjoy filming a podcast. It's a nice laugh, and we get to talk for sort of 20 minutes about stuff that isn't football, which people do not listen for and probably skip past.
Probably so. Probably so. But we like it. So
But we enjoy it.
we're going to carry on regardless.
Standard.
Right. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. And we will see you very, very soon. Bye.